Let's start with this question. If as a culture we condone something as small as telling a white lie, why should we expect the President of the United States to tell the truth? Okay, so we think, well, it's different. But isn't the root of the matter the same? The perpetrator of the lie has to fabricate a story to excuse the action, right? So if you look at the difference between, let's say, a white lie and a Watergate cover-up, you could describe the difference as merely the complexity of the story that's being made up to excuse the lie. Now that may seem to be theoretical and not credible, but let me ask you this. And the reason why is because most people think, well, it's really a big difference because at some point when the big thing happens, I'll be ready. So let's talk about that. Let's get that out in the open. How ready are we to do the big things if we ignore the small things? And so one of the examples that I like to use is a true story that occurred on Mount Everest about 14, 15 years ago, and I think they made a movie out of it, where 40 climbers actually passed up a climber in distress. And some of them did some things. They gave him a blanket, or maybe some oxygen, some water, maybe dug a snow cave or something. But no one took responsibility to make sure that the climber got down, and he died. Now, at the time, Sir Edmund Hillary, who was the most famous mountaineer in the world, everybody know who he is?
Yeah.
Conquered Mount Everest, said he was incensed. And partly because many of the climbers who passed up this distressed climber were New Zealanders, as was he. So he said, when I was on Everest and our team was there, we would this is a quote, we would never leave a man under a rock like that to die. And he went on to say that if you're fit and energetic and you have the capability, then it is your obligation to take him down. And the summit becomes very secondary. But what happened if you had asked all those 40 men, would you be ready to do the big thing? Or would you be ready to save a life? Because there's no bigger thing. When it came time, and they would all say yes, but for some reason, they all left it to someone else. They kept going, leaving it to someone else to do a little thing, which was never enough to actually achieve the saving of the life. And I find this fascinating because what I've seen in our own culture is the same kind of mentality where we just assume that somebody else will do it. We leave it to somebody else to take care of it. So in the 2007 recession, we had millions of Americans applying for mortgages that they could not afford, and they left it to the banks to sort of mop that up. And then the bankers actually securitized these terrible mortgages and peddled them, leaving it to the government to clean up. Advertisers leave it to us to sort through their puffed up product claims. Politicians leave it to us to sift through their exaggerations. Motorists leave it to others to be more careful because they're busy texting. A lot of people in the workplace leave it to others to report sexual harassment that they see right in front of them. So there's this kind of mentality of putting it off.